It was a regular Wednesday at the White House when Donald Trump dropped a bombshell on global trade. Standing before the press, the US president declared that India, one of America's key trading partners, will now face a hefty 26% tariff on its export. For many, this was shocking but not entirely unexpected. Trump has long been very vocal about what he calls India's unfair trade practices. Despite his famously warm relationship with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, business was business. India, very tough. Very tough. Well, that's what Trump said. The Prime Minister just left and he's a great friend of mine. But I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. Well, that's what Trump said. Trump's argument is simple. The US has lower tariffs than India, and he wants that to change. The US charges an average tariff of just 3.3% on imports, while India imposes an average of 17% until today. For years, American companies have complained about high duties on their goods entering India. In an effort to prevent this blow, India made several moves just to please the Washington. Modi's government slashed tariff on thousands of items, including key American exports, for example, bourbon, whiskey, and Harley Davidson. India has promised to buy more US oil, liquefied natural gas, and military equipments. Yet, none of these gestures were enough to stop Trump from imposing new tariffs. The question is, how does India compare to the other countries? So, a satisfactory answer is India isn't alone in this trade war. Trump's tariff hikes affect several nations, but each one was hit differently. Let's discuss that. European Union 20% tariff, Japan 24% tariff, South Korea 25% tariff, India 26% tariff. Then comes China, a whooping 54% on many goods. Clearly, India is feeling the heat, but it's still better than of China, which remains Trump's biggest trade war target. But what would this mean for India's economy? Well, there is no denying that these tariffs are a punch to India's economy, specifically in key sectors like electronics. Nearly $14 billion worth of Indian electronics export to the US will now face higher cost. Then comes gems and jewelries. The Indian jewelry industry, which exports over $9 billion worth of products to the US, is bracing for a hit. Third place, pharmaceuticals, a silver lining. The US has exempted pharmaceutical exports, sparing India's $9 billion drug trade from the new duties. Then we have energy products too, another exemption. India's energy exports remain unaffected. At the bottom, we have auto parts and aluminium. These will be taxed at 25%. Not as bad as 26%, but still significant. Now, here is where it gets more interesting. Despite all the noise about these tariffs, some experts believe that India won't suffer as much as people think. According to SBI research report, the overall impact on Indian exports may only be around 3 to 3.5%. So, India is in a very unique position. Unlike many other nations, it doesn't rely too heavily on the exports. Compared to emerging market peers, India's trade dependency on the US is actually quite low. Let me tell you what some big financial players are saying. Goldman Sachs says that India's overall trade exposure to the US is very small. Then comes Finch. India's domestic economy is strong enough to withstand these tariffs. Another report says that India remains one of Asia's most resilient economy. So basically, trade wars can be devastating, but they can also force countries to innovate. India has already started diversifying its trade routes, strengthening its ties with Europe and the Middle East, and even Latin America. The Modi government has been pushing an ambitious Make in India campaign to boost domestic manufacturing, reducing reliance on exports altogether. And let's not forget, India is on track to becoming the world's third largest economy in the coming years. The IMF, World Bank, and other global institutions continue to back India's strong economic trajectory. So, with the elections in both the US and India in the near future, things could change fast. A new US administration might rethink these tariffs, or India could find better trade alliance elsewhere. One thing is clear, New Delhi will have to play its cards wisely. So, is India ready for this challenge? Only time will tell. But if history has shown us anything, it's that India has a knack for turning adversity into opportunity.